Welcome. This week, we're getting ready to go over lessons 89 to 92. So we've gone over how we shouldn't use the term, "this is so easy." And then last week, we talked about avoiding or trying to limit saying, "you're so smart." Well, this week, the phrase is, "you should already know this." I've been really guilty of using this. Yeah. My oldest son has a learning disability, and I didn't understand that at first. And so we would do math and he would do fine. And then the next day or the day after we come back to do it, and it was like we've never done it before. I'm like, you should know this. We've been doing this. We've been going over this. Oh my gosh. How many more times can we do this? Well, guess what? Don't use that term. You should know this. I'm going to read a little bit from this paper so I get the words correct. Math is so heavily based on extending basic skills to more and more advanced topics that it can feel challenging for students to get better if they have struggled in the past. Saying something like, "you should already know this," to a child who struggles not only affirms a student's thought that they will never be good at math, but also places blame on students for something that may not be their fault. And for those of you who have children that pick it up really fast, that's fantastic. One less thing that you have to struggle with. But for those of us that don't, it's okay. And that's why I love Right Start, because it teaches to both kinds of children. And for some of us, we just have to take it a little bit slower. All right, let's go see what materials we will need for this week. You're going to need the clock, the abacus, the math card game book, along with the basic number card deck, the math card journal, and the worksheets, as well as the math balance. Lesson 89, subtracting from 9 and 11. This is where we get back to working with the clock again. That will be in the warm-up section. Also, you'll have the sums practice. I'll say it now just because there might be some new people watching, but those of you who've been following along know that when those two sum practices don't need to be done during math time. You can have them work on it prior to math time. You can have them work on it later in the day. So look at the section subtracting from 11, look at the abacus. I'm just going to walk you through it to make sure it makes sense to you. So we talk with the children about subtracting a number from 10. Then we're going to connect it to subtracting a number from 11 so they can see that it's just one more. On the abacus, on that first row, they enter 10. And then on the third and fourth row, they enter 11. And so we're going to subtract 3. So we're going to move 3 a little bit to the right. And on the first row, you can see that it's 7. On the second row, you're going to move 3 a little bit to the right. And they're going to see how it's 7 and then that one extra bead for 8. On the second page at the top, we're going to do the same thing, but now we're using 9 as our minuend. We're going to start with 10. We enter, and then on the third line, you're going to enter 9. So what are we going to subtract? Well, in this example, we're subtracting 4. If we subtract 4 from 10, what do we have? We have 6. If we subtract 4 from 9, what do we have? We have 5. This lesson ends with 2 games. One is 9 as a minuend, and it's S3. This is played just like 10 as the minuend, except you're not going to use any 10s in this. So you'll take the 10s out of the deck, and you're going to use 7 zeros. And it tells you that in the instructions. Then the other game is 11 as the minuend. Now, it doesn't really say anything in the instructions on how to get your 11 as the minuend because our basic number card deck only goes up to 10. So I recommend getting some paper. It could be index card. It could be one of those sticky notes, whatever, and write 11 on top of 5 of them. lay them at the top, and then you'll continue playing just like you did as 10 as the minuend, where you flip over numbers, and now they're going to subtract it from 11. In both of these games, if they need to use the abacus, let them use the abacus, but encourage them as they're processing through this to try it occasionally without the abacus, because they may not even realize they don't even need the abacus until they try it. Lesson 90, subtracting with doubles and near doubles. So for this one, you're going to need your math balance. And again, I think just by looking at this, you can see what you need to do. I'm not going to pull out the math balance to show you. Basically, you're going to enter 12, a 10, 2 on the left side of the balance. Then the child's going to take 2 weights and have to put it on the same number to get it to balance. They'll also be using side 2 of the abacus. And you can see that at the bottom of the page where they're going to enter 12 in the 1 section. They'll also be using their math journal. So they're going to write these equations in their math journal. So when you have 12 entered, you can see the 2 5s for 10, the 2 1s for 12, and then they're going to take away 6 and we'll leave 6 on 3 on each side. This is one of those things too. It's kind of interesting. Right Start doesn't have you do this. I just think it's kind of neat to see too. You have the 2 6s. If you take one of those sets of 6 away, it leaves the 6. So this is one of those times where you can kind of see it both ways. I just think it's neat to point out. But Right Start does prefer you to use it where the sides are even. So you do it by 2s. And it does make a lot more sense when you get into all the double digit, triple digit, four digit stuff. So again, we're using what the children know about the double digits and what they equal, because now we're going to bring in the near doubles for subtraction. What we're doing on the balance is something the children are familiar with, where the addition of the doubles. And hopefully they're seeing how that works in subtraction. But now we're going to transition to doing near doubles. And I like how they do this, because they have you put 13 on the math balance and then ask the child if they could put the weights on one number, the same weights, 2 weights on one number to get it to balance. Your child may have to try it to see that it doesn't work. It may not come quickly to them that it won't work. Let them try it. Let them discover it. Don't tell them. When that doesn't work, then you could tell them to put it on 2 consecutive numbers. You might have to remind them what consecutive means, right? One number that comes after the other. You might also want to remind them, well, what 2 numbers equals a number close to 13? They could think of 6 plus 6 is 12. They could think of 7 plus 7 is 14. Don't give the answer away. Get them to really start thinking through this. It's going to help them when it comes time to doing the mental part. I really like how this is evident when they enter it onto the side 2 of the abacus. Look at that figure of the abacus where it has 13 entered. And you could see one row is 6 and one row is 7. So 7 and 6 make 13. Or if you take 7 away, it leaves 6. If you take 6 away, it leaves 7. I just think that is such a great visual. We end this lesson with a game, Short Chain Subtraction Solitaire. That is a mouthful. But guess what? Not only do we have a blog, we have a video on how to play this. So I'm going to show you real quick. You're going to have to go to our website, go to rightstartmath.com, and then in the search bar, put in Short Chain Solitaire. And look what it does. It pops up. Winter game, Short Chain Solitaire. This is the video. And then there's also a blog on Short Chain Solitaire. So either one, you can read more about it or you can watch the video. Lesson 91, subtracting by taking all from 10. So this one, I'm going to actually show you. So here we're going to enter 14. So there's my 10 and my 4. All right. We're going to subtract 9 from the 10. So we're going to take our 9 away. What do we have left? We have 5. All right. I'll do one more. 17. So we're going to enter 10 and our 7. We're subtracting 9. So we're going to take 9 from the 10, which leaves 1. We could add 1 to the 7, which gives us 8. Some of these strategies are going to come easy for some children. Some of them are going to take a little bit longer for other children. The thing is, you don't know. You don't know which strategy your child's going to click with. You don't know which strategy they may have a little bit of a struggle with and need more work with. That's all right. Just play some games, have them practice on the abacus. Like I said, in level B, we're just giving them the appetizer. Level C is going to be where we really give them the main course when it comes to subtraction. So then there's a section subtracting 8. We're going to do the same as we did. We're going to enter 17. Now we're going to subtract 8. Now notice we're going to take, here we go. What does that leave us? 7 and 2 more for 9. There's other examples in here that they can practice on. Some children are going to need a lot more practice than others. This is one of those things, if you need to take a day, use it for your 5th day, whatever you need to do. You want your children to feel comfortable and confident with what they're doing. They don't have to have it mastered yet, though. We end this lesson with a game called Subtraction Memory. It's S6 in the Math Card Game Book. If you open that up, you can see how it's laid out. And I just want to explain something to you so it'll make sense. You're going to need 2 cards of each number in the basic card deck, 0 through 9, no 10s. So 2 zeros, 2 1s, 2 2s, all the way up to 2 9s. You're going to separate them. So you have one deck or one side that's going to have the numbers 0 to 9. Your other little deck is going to have the numbers 0 through 9. You're going to just shuffle the 0 through 9 numbers up so you don't know the order. You're going to lay them face down in 2 rows, 5 and 5. You're going to do the same with the other deck, 5 and 5. You're going to play this where you could either use the number 9 that you're subtracting or the number 8. It'd be really great if you could play this twice, the first time with 9, the second time with 8. The number you're subtracting is going to be laid horizontal, and you see this in the example. Now the example is showing 2. That 2 needs to be either a 9 or an 8, depending on which ones you guys want to use first. Now let's say we're using 8 as our number we're subtracting. That's where the 2 is in the book. And you flip over a 3. Well, since 3 is less than 8, we're going to make that a 13. What is 13 minus 8? We're not going to get into negatives right now because we could, and don't tell them we can't subtract 8 from 3 because it's really a lie. We can. But let them know that while we can, we're not working with negatives right now. That's something they'll learn as they get older. Right now, we're going to make that a 13. So now we have a bigger number and we could subtract the other number from. They can use any of their strategies, whichever strategy they like, they can use. Then they're going to flip a card over on the right side. It needs to match. If it's not the number they need, they'll flip that card back over, and then it's the next person's turn. So if you don't get a match, you flip the cards over, and then the next person gets to go. And then they flip a card over on the left, and they subtract that number in the middle from it. So remember, they're either going to subtract 8 or they're going to subtract 9. Last lesson for this week, lesson 92, subtraction by taking part from 10. Ooh, that title's a little confusing sounding, but hopefully you'll read through and you'll see it's not as confusing as you think, or as it sounds, I should say. So for example, it shows 18, sorry. it shows 18. I'm trying to put this so it doesn't get as confused with all those beads back there. So here we go. Sorry, it's in front of me. Let me get this right. Okay, here we go. I think that's better, right? Now, we've entered 18 on the abacus, and you're going to ask if he could think of another way to subtract 9. Now, we've been doing where we take from the 10, right? But we don't want to do that. We want to find another way. So let them kind of think about it. So what they could do, because we're subtracting 9, is we could take the 8 and one more from the 10, which leaves 9. I'm going to do that one more time. We could take our 8 and one more, which leaves us with 9. And think about it. If we have 18 minus 8, that would leave us with 10, right? And then one more would leave us with 9. So that's what we're doing. We're just showing it on the abacus. I'll work with you on this other one. We're going to do 15 minus 7. So again, take away our 5 and 2 more, which leaves 8. This is where knowing what numbers make 7 comes in handy, because we've learned that 7 is 5 and 2. So if we have 15, we're going to take away 7. We know 7 is 5 and 2. We could take 5 away from 15, which leaves us 10. 2 more leaves us with 8. As you can see, there's a lot of practice in the worksheet. This may seem a little overwhelming for your child. Now, if your child's getting it, it's easy, they don't have a problem, then sure, let them do this. Do the whole thing. But for those of you whose child might be looking at this and be like, oh, there's just too many. It's all right. Split it up. You have that 5th day. Save it for then. Or if you have to break this into 2 lessons, it's okay. All right, we're done. Another week. All about subtraction. Remember, this is just the appetizer course. They're going to do a lot more subtraction when they get to level C. So they don't have to have this mastered. We just want to expose them to it and encourage them that they already know what they need to be able to do it and succeed. So join me next week as we go over lessons 93 through 96. Until then.